across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio.
Now, of course, this week, a very, very fascinating statistic emerged that 17% of women born in 1970 have not had children. Now, that's a massive increase from 1946, when just 9% had no kids. And of course, this comes at the same time as Jennifer Aniston, arguably the world's most famous actress, lashed out at the fact that for so many years she has been constantly hounded about when she is going to start a family. And it was always a case of when, but not if. And of course, when you actually think about what she said, this is a reckless misconception, because who knows what she's been through medically or emotionally. And she says there's a pressure on women to be mothers, and if they're not, then they're deemed damaged goods. Maybe my purpose on this planet isn't to procreate. Maybe I have other things I'm supposed to do. And I believe that there is a whole new generation here of 30-something women. They have been told, I've got many friends in this category, they've been told for their entire lives that they should focus on their professional lives and achieving in their careers. So the fact that they may not have the perfect family in their mid-30s or a husband and have settled down and had kids is totally understandable. And I personally believe that it is time for society to stop judging them on this. Now, to discuss this further, I'm joined by Natalie Collins, who is the gender justice specialist, and Kate Borsay, our newsreader, is here in on this as well. Natalie, what did you make? Good afternoon. What did you make of Jennifer Aniston's comments, which of course come on the back of this quite significant figure, saying that now 17% of women no longer choose to have children?
Yeah, I think, she's, as has been reported, she's a very private person. So for her to come out and say this is a step in terms of her decision to do that. And I think it's really positive that she is saying, hang on a second, this needs to stop this judgment of women around motherhood. So I think it's a really positive thing, and I think she represents quite a lot of women, as you just said.
And is this something that you have seen develop? Because as I say, I really see it in my own life now. A lot of women in their 30s who don't have kids, who maybe society still believes should have kids, because you reach that age where people say things to you quite commonly like, oh, your biological clock must be ticking. But in fact, they've been focusing on their careers, because these are empowered young women who were born in the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, definitely. But I think although there are a lot more women choosing not to have children, I don't know any woman who's over 30 who hasn't had comments from relatives or friends or other people who are kind of, pushing them to say, well, when are you going to have children? Because the expectation is that women will still have children. The expectation is not that, we haven't moved to a point where people are not expecting women to have children, and kind of the presumption is they won't do. The presumption is, men are not asked that. The issue isn't for men if they are not going to have children. So
that's my point.
Yeah.
It's sexist, yeah. Kate Borsay. It is.
It is. But Natalie, is this, again, going to add to the long list of things that people can't say? What do particularly elderly relatives within families? I've got loads of friends who either haven't had kids or can only really have one child. There's also a significant increase in the amount of one-child families now, because we're all procreating later or not at all. So Natalie, what would you recommend people say for those relatives who are not meaning to be rude, who are kindly asking or just trying to make a conversation and interested in that person's life? What on earth can they say?
I think the issue is it's not about individual people being rude or saying the wrong thing. This is about a structural and societal change to the point where we realise actually it's really none of our business if somebody's having children or not, and recognising there's a sensitivity there, that there's lots of women who might want to have children and they can't because of various health conditions.
But, Natalie, sorry to butt in, but of my friends who have this issue, it's not necessarily that they feel under pressure from society. It stings a lot more when it comes at you personally, when it comes from someone an elderly relative or even another friend saying, so when are you going to start having a family then? So I get it is a society issue, but actually what really stings is when it comes at you on a personal level.
those people, those individual family members are part of the society. Their socialisation to the point where they think it's okay to say to a woman, oh, when are you going to have children? It's because they live in a society where the expectation is women will have children. So if you change the society rather than focusing on the individual kind of rude comments, but saying how do we get to a point where actually nobody in society thinks this is a normal thing to do. That's how you affect change, not by going, oh, we should ban people saying this. It's not about those individual rude comments. It's about a society where, even though, yes, more and more girls are being raised in a society where they don't have to procreate as their primary purpose, there is still a lot of people who were raised in a society where that was their primary purpose. So we have to have empathy and appreciation that the world has changed a lot and that's going to be difficult for people to move on from. But hopefully 30 or 40 years from now, we'll see that there just isn't those sort of comments being made.
But guys, isn't the answer, and I've actually written my column in The Sun about this tomorrow, I think the answer is surely, rather than people sometimes hinting that maybe there's a secret reason why they haven't had children, or maybe there's a medical reason, surely the way that society will start changing is if these very talented, successful women actually can say with confidence, no, you know what, I haven't had children. That is a decision I've made. And perhaps they say, I'm focusing on my career. Perhaps they say, no, my husband and I just want to travel, and that shouldn't be met with embarrassment. I think maybe more women have to be proud about this decision, because 17%, guys, that's a big number.
I think it would be great if that was realistic, but women modify their behaviour because of the response they get.
Absolutely.
So this is not necessarily on women to do that.
Oh my goodness, I totally agree with you, and that's why I've written this column, and that's why I'm lauding Jennifer Aniston.
Because
do you see what I mean?
she's a great example.
Absolutely, because I think she could spark a sea change. You've got Kylie Minogue, you've got Callie Brooke this week. I feel like this is the start of a conversation.
I would love to know how many of those 17% can't have children and how many have chosen not to have children. I can't say with any informed amount of science, but I would say it's much harder for women who've had to come to the decision of having no children because they can't medically. I'd say it's going to be a lot harder for them to turn around and say, actually physically I can't have children.
No, absolutely, but I guess the point that I would make though is that it's also not embarrassing if they just haven't wanted to.
No,
and it's
totally
not something to be ashamed of. Natalie Collins, gender justice specialist, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. It's a fascinating issue, isn't it, Kate?